Cooperative capitalism. How does it work? Communism, capitalism. How does it fare in terms of overall economic performance? What's the best way to go? Is it mixed economy? Is it cooperative capitalism? Or socialism with free market principles? So you have seen all set of examples. Look at the financial crisis. Look at the pandemic. You have seen the reflection of communism, capitalism. Is communism successful? Is capitalism achieving its objectives? Is there inequality still? There's a widening gap between haves and have-nots. Are we recognizing the reason for the financial crisis way back in 2008 and 9? And what about the impending challenges of the financial crisis itself? Ethical and moral governance which was compromised, and how it was mapped and fixed to a large extent. Lessons learned out of the financial crisis, monetary side as well as fiscal side. It was not confined to one set of economy. It's a global crisis. Countries have evaporated. We have seen a huge amount of accommodative monetary tools have been developed. Now, we are talking about the big picture now. Post-pandemic, what's going to happen? Now, the pandemic itself is giving you a lot of tragedy, the human tragedy, risk and governance, economic risk and governance, environmental risk and governance. So you have enough challenges in terms of the overall risk as well as governance. How do we restructure? How do we make sure the money supply comes in? We had learned lessons. How do you make sure business disruptions are minimum? How do they moderate? Lessons learned in 2008 and 9 was handy, but it sends you a very different signal. It gives you the world is still at large, is tearing apart, and basic values holds good to humanity. That's the lesson we learned. The positive side of the pandemic is vital. So it's not business as usual. It's a new model. It's a transformation. Transformation in terms of the way we live, the way we are going to live. Add to that fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things, blockchain, big data analytics, again, artificial intelligence, mobility, digital convergence. All these things are going to change the way we're going to look at this world. But one thing is clear. One thing is very clear. Aim at long term. One thing is also clear, human capacity to align with the change and adapt within the shortest possible time. The world stood by these challenges and they faced it, managed it measurably. But what's next? How do we converge in terms of creating a better world? How do we transform eradication of extreme poverty? How do we bring in gender equality? Here is an opportunity. How do we bring in healthcare universally, education? The digital commerce gives you the way. Global warming and climate change, increasing sea level, animal extinction, everything. How do we fix it? So, as communism has been successful, as capitalism is successful, as mixed economies are very successful, Should we go by free market principles? How do we bring in gross welfare to the mass? How do we be financially inclusive? A lot of unanswered questions, isn't it? A lot of unanswered questions. Is it capitalism is the way? Is it communism is the way? Is cooperative capitalism is the way, which is compassionate, which can bring in sustainable value creation? Can we use this as an opportunity? And that's the message. That's the message we need to understand. It's a defining moment for us to recognize. The change what we are witnessing is going to be forever. You have to live with it. This is not confined to one set of challenge. Cooperative model. We need to get into it. We have enough example. If you take India for example, or even look at those who have gone into communism and capitalism. South Korea, backed up by United States. North Korea, backed up by Russians and China. Two poles. How do we bring in peace and prosperity? How do we bring righteousness in the minds of people? How do we bring in cultural transformation to create gross welfare? Which is a better methodology? How do we change the functional breakup? Sudan, North and South, continuing disputes in the world, not only in terms of trade between developed world and developing world. Ideologies are different. These ideologies needs to be ironed out. How do we change it in the business side? Economic precedes politics or politics precedes economics in today's context? What is futuristic? Is the world is going to be manual? Is it going to be virtual? How do we bring in peace and happiness? Let's take the words of Vivekananda. Inequality, ignorance, desire. These three things drives the world. So how do we bring in compassionate capitalism to bring in or even reducing the inequality? How do we ensure we have value systems? We will shed the ignorance by knowledge and wisdom. Where do we bridge the gap? Opportunities are now, it's God sent. This crisis, while we had so much negative, we have also positive sides to the world. It's God sent, as they call it. Because it's an opportunity for us to change, rethink. In the words of the wisdom, righteousness creates harmony. Righteousness in individuals creates harmony. Harmony creates order. Order creates peace. Individual to the world. So it's all about using this opportunity. Business side, we have enough examples. Lijit Papat in India, Amul model of cooperative society. Multiple ways tested a century ago. The model has worked. Arguably, involvement of professionals steering cooperatives. Politics should be out of it. It should make commercial sense. Sharing and caring, share the leadership, share the vision, share the prosperity. That's what new opportunities are all about. Cooperative federalism when it comes to governance. Cooperative capitalism when it comes to business advantage. Compassionate capitalism. So we need to bring in more effective and use this technology to your advantage. And that's what exactly the initiatives have been taken in India of late. We are seeing transformation can come in if there is more digital advantage. Big data can need to be used. So people are becoming more articulate. People are getting overload of information. That's going to enlighten them. Sometimes it's complicated, but you have to look inward as well as outward, not only outward. Look inward before looking outward. Inclusiveness is important. Bring up the poor people. Amul is a classic story. Dairy cooperative societies. Amul model has helped India to emerge as the largest milk producer in the world. So the model has to work. Women empowerment will work if you go for it. And you have employment opportunities created. Gender equality comes in. Education comes in. Once the economic affluence comes in, you share the prosperity. That's how it goes. So, compassionate capitalism, cooperative capitalism is here to stand, and that will enlighten the way forward, producing gross welfare to the mass.